Sonia Barrett here once again, and time for another chit chat moment. So, today let's talk about playing it safe with spirituality. Um, I think that spirituality. What can I say about it? There is so much fluff and hype behind the idea of spirituality that um, I believe that most of us, most people have lost sight of what we're talking about. And I'm not referring to, woo woo, fluffy, all that stuff. You know, I think spirituality is really about us trying to really understand more and remember more about who we are, what our potentials are, what this human experience is. And I think that what has happened is we have a tremendous amount of indoctrination going ages back, perhaps thousands of years, perhaps by those who pass themselves off as, you know, gods to us, which they are, we all are. Um, but it was the way that it was done. And so we still live with this very subservient um, belief system and behavior, and because the idea of spirituality has been passed off on us as this very woo woo, attempt to be a good person, um, all of that kind of thing, the judgment of self and of others, it definitely has become more of that. Everybody wants to be this pious, humble, I don't know, monk type behavior. When if we peel it all away, what we're looking at what we are beyond these physical bodies. And what if at the end of the day, we are looking at ourselves as these incredible cosmic astronauts um, traveling through time, the idea of time, the dimension of time, which is probably simply that, a dimension of time. That's why we talk about time and space, because you can't have the idea of space without time. Time, the idea of time then, or dimension of time, allows measurability. It allows us to measure distance. And so we live in a reality based on quantitative values. Now, what if all of that is really only pertaining to a particular kind of experience? What if that is not the totality of what reality can be? And so we find that many people, and this again is where religion comes in, you get many people very, very stuck on their religious beliefs, very hung up on their religious belief, just like somebody would have a fit, if you dropped the Bible, if you stepped on the Bible, or any other religious material. And there's such an incredible brainwashing that's been done. And I'm not talking simply from this idea of time, this reality that we're in right now. But this has to have been going on for quite some time, where we've been sold this in order for others to appear incredibly superior to us. And so this idea of spirituality and walking on eggshells around the idea of spirituality, and worrying that you're going to be chastised by some greater power. We've really been sold a bag of goods here. And it goes on and on and on. And again, I always like to point out to the people who listen to this, anybody who gets upset because it's rocking the boat on your religious belief, then question it, because nothing should rock your boat on whatever it is that you think that you believe. But you do want to question your idea of religion or spirituality, that construct that you find yourself in with a particular set of beliefs and conditions that you're operating by. You want to stop and question that, because certainly somebody packaged those concepts. And I'm not saying that what you understand is not a truth. Um, Truth is relative. Everything is true to us according to where we are in our understanding, in our, just in our overall understanding, in our awareness at that time. But the idea of being so stuck on this particular concept, that the Bible says this, and if it's in the Bible, then it's got to be that way. It has to be gospel. um, People wrote down this information, and we're talking any kind of script that we can find. We must remember that they are written down by human beings, but then we say, but then God gave it to them. God, well, who are we talking about? We have to question that when we look at what we have been sold, what we have been told about who we are. These very minuscule, subservient beings. And so we defend these beliefs. We defend the belief of being insignificant and perhaps unimportant in the bigger picture. But we are creators as well. I don't even know if I don't even use the word creators per se anymore, because everything is, everything exists, everything is known. But what we have is the journey of the experience. That's what we deal with. It's the journey, it's everything in between that we are participating and experiencing. Not so much the outcome, but the entire experience in between. And so we do have to stop and examine that and look at that. What does that mean when we speak of a God? Well, we are also taught not to question anything beyond that idea that there is a God, someone over us, superior, over us, guiding, watching, um, instructing, can basically step on you and squash you like a bug at any moment. All of that, I'm sure, is true, but it is all true in a certain context. It is all true in a certain context. Do we not walk around and step on ants and bugs all day long? Yes, we do. What do we do? Are we gods over the bugs and all the little critters that we step on, and all those that fly into our mouths every time we open our mouth and we eat them and not even realize that we're chomping on them? There are many levels to the idea then of reality, or many potentials. And so with those potentials, you do have essences or beings that are operating perhaps on a what we would look at as a more evolved level of thinking, of actions. Now, it doesn't mean that their actions are going to be what we would like to look at as perfect, or ultimately in all of our best interests. There are many levels of possibilities to the expression of life, to life being expressed. Many levels, many masters. We are masters of our reality, although we have forgotten that. But again, the idea of spirituality, if we are to grow up or evolve, then in back into the greater aspect of who we are, then that idea, that looking on at what you've defined as spirituality or what's been presented to you, that is something that has to be looked on. We have to look at it. And yes, I see a lot of people, whether it be New Age movement or just, Christianity or any of these other religious or spiritual groups per se, even those that sit like gurus or yogis or whatever. Everybody comes with this very holier than thou, pious behavior. This, you know what I'm talking about. I can't even find words for it. But you see, I don't see it that way. I see just the opportunity to just be. And that is without having to judge myself or you about whether you're good or you're bad. That's the program there to keep us in line, the good or the bad. Now, yes, there will be somebody that says, but there are people going around killing, other people. All right. That is a whole different story to even try to enter into and to explain. But all of that stems from the fact that we are allowed to do any and everything. Yes, we are allowed to do it. That's the only reason why it can happen. It also stems from much of this indoctrination and people sort of trying to live up to these expectations of good or bad, this polarized expression of life that we've been living. But you see, when we can come into our own, when we can own who we are and be okay with that, the fear goes away. Because fear is about survival. That kind of fear, it is survival. It is defending oneself. It is protecting oneself. It is, even lashing out. Somebody, yes, killing someone else. Yes, there is a wiring. There is something that is definitely um, different in the brain in terms of people's behavior in that sense. But I tell you, it all comes from that not knowing who we are, that know thyself. Profound, profound. When we begin to know who we are, it will be a lot easier. Life will be very different when we can then accept who we are. Then we don't have to short circuit. We don't have to try to be good, and then we get wrapped so tight in trying to be good that we are being hypocrites about who we are. And then we're wrapping ourselves tight and putting on our masks uh, and going out into the world. In the meantime, you have people who are struggling on the inside, trying so hard to hold on to this idea of what this good person is, and they unravel and maybe they get on medication, or they have emotional problems. They pass it on to their children because of how the children maybe got raised. Yes, some people come into this life very different, very different in the sense of their behavior, whatever they brought in with them. But the fact is, the focus has to be on you. To spend time focusing on how to fix someone else is simply a distraction from yourself. And I am not talking about fixing yourself, because I'm not saying you're broken or I'm broken, but we are looking at evolving ourselves and how we think and what we believe about ourselves and all the stories that we've been sold about ourselves going thousands of years back, that's been passed down through the human gene pool, the DNA, all of that history that is still there. So it is about being able to just move into that space where you are free to be you and to allow other people to be that. And that to me is embracing who we are that cannot be defined, other than we know that we're in this body, and we know that we yearn to understand more and to find freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from this feeling of being under the thumb of this reality. This feeling of not having any control over our lives and what happens to us, as if our lives are just random car accidents, this, that, things happen and you feel like you have no control over it. But that is the great decoding that we must do, because we do. We do. We just don't understand it. We don't remember, because all of that information is covered over with all of these stories, the indoctrination, what should I call it? The programming, the misinformation that has guided us all of this time. And no, we don't. You know what, when religion becomes important, I'm not saying nobody needs religion, because I think that there are points in our lives where uh, religion or any kind of organization like that is necessary for some people to really help them in that moment, in that period of their life, to probably pull it together, to help to get their mind back in alignment, in some sort of focus, so they don't feel like they're losing, they're losing their mind. So everything serves its purpose. It serves its purpose until it doesn't anymore. And that's when we decide to let go and to go deeper into understanding more about who we are. But the idea of spirituality, it's just let go. Just let go. You don't have to be any particular thing for anybody. Just know that you are really just trying to remember and to understand who you are as a being and what is possible for you. But certainly, don't struggle to be good. Don't struggle to not be bad. You don't have to struggle to do that. And if you find that you are, then stop and really examine what your beliefs are. What were you taught as a child? Um, be good, you know. And I love the fact that my friend, he has two boys, and the way he's taught them is awesome, because when people, which adults like to say that, oh, are you behaving, are you being good? And so he's taught them and not to, I mean, he has taught them to say, no, I'm not being good, I'm just being. It's true. I'm just being. You say, are you being good? That's the program, as opposed to being bad. Are you being good? And so here it is, all our entire course of your life, you're hearing that, back there somewhere is the need to be good. But good defined what? Socially defined. And in the social definition, it is about locking yourself in this box according to these guidelines. And no, I am not speaking of going out and just doing whatever you want to do. People do it anyway. But when we understand this, we don't have to worry about how tightly we are wrapped. We don't have to worry about it, because you won't want to harm another human being. There will be no need for it, because there won't be any fear there. There'll be nothing to defend. You won't have to defend yourself. So there's nothing there. And that's when we start to evolve beyond the construct of reality, the way that reality appears, which is the good and bad scenario that we have. Um, so anyway, I hope that that does present some clarity, because I'm all about just really just being able to free yourself. And if religion is what you need to experience, then it's okay. Do that. Don't feel good or bad about it. Just be in the space you're in right here, right now, and allow yourself to evolve beyond that, to expand beyond that. If you are in a organization with a set of rules and constructs, if that's what you need right then be there. But do allow yourself to point you in a direction when it's time to evolve beyond that, because there's always another level of evolution. There's always another level. So it's not just about what you're taught, the religious information that you're taught from A to Z, and that's it. There's levels up, continuous levels up, always new heights to be reached. But it's very hard to reach them when you're stuck on this finite belief system, this way of thinking and operating, and nothing beyond that. If it's not in the Bible, I don't want to hear about it. Okay, well, you know what? For those who believe, as far as Buddha or Yeshua or any of the other masters on that caliber, if they had taken the same approach, no, then we would not know of them today, because they would not have evolved beyond those constructs. They would not have evolved on their own. So regardless of whether somebody says they existed or didn't exist, what you do know in the stories is that they went off on their own. They didn't wait for a group. They didn't wait for a crowd. They evolved. And do not tell me because they were special. They themselves, according to any doctrine that's been left behind or what you're given or you're told, nobody has ever said that I am special, I am different than you. Nobody has ever said that. And if they did, you want to run fast and far, because we all are the manifestation, the reflection of that very thing that we're looking for. We are looking for that ultimate source. We can't find it because the ultimate source is us. It's everything. It is how it shows itself to us. That's that which is, that which cannot be defined and cannot we can't run out of that source. Because it becomes everything. It is any and everything. Even the guy that is a murderer, or whatever it is he or she is, he could not be that. He could not have life in him to breathe, to move, unless he was also still a reflection of that which is. All right, so that's what I have to say. And I really do hope that it connects with somebody and gives them maybe some inspiration, some insight that they were looking for, and takes them to yet another level of feeling free. All right, so anyway, go to my website, therealsoniabarrett.com. Check that out. Check out my podcast, Sonia Unplugged, soniaunplugged.com. I'm on iTunes and SoundCloud and Stitcher, and on my website. And also, I have a workshop coming up. It's a webinar. It's June 4th, and it's how to move from idea to action. All right, because some people have a lot of challenge with doing that. So go to the website, therealsoniabarrett.com. Check that out, and also the daily 5-minute reboot videos. You can subscribe to that. Subscribe to my website as well. That's free, so you can get updates. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know a lot of people listen, but sometimes they forget to subscribe so they know when I put out a video. And I think that I may have covered it all today. I love hearing from you. Leave your comments, email me, and I look forward to the next time, the next chit chat dialogue. All right, have a wonderful life. Until next time.